Call this meeting of the Springboro Board of Education to order. Roll call, please.
Malone.
Here.
Stuckey.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Babb. Here. Belanger.
Absent. Would you rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 1.2, adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, is there a second? Mrs. Babb, roll call, please.
Malone.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb. Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. 1.3, approval of the January 28th, 2016 board minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Stuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Babb, roll call, please.
Malone.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. 1.4, approval of the January 28th special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Babb, roll call, please.
Malone.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. 1.5, approval of the special meeting on February the 6th. Minutes. Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, second.
Second.
Mr. Stuckey, roll call, please.
Malone.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Babb.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay, item 2.1, Springboro Education Association report. Is there any representatives from the association? Okay. 2.2, Springboro Classified Employees Association. Okay. Public participation, 2.3, no prearranged participation. 2.4, public participation on agenda items. None. Okay, item 2.5, Mr. Martin, Rachel's challenge.
Okay. I guess I'll use the mic so everybody can hear me. Just a little update with our Rachel's Challenge. Immediately following our building-wide assembly, we immediately got started with our 4 club, which is our Friends of Rachel. And we had our first meeting about 2 weeks ago. We had it in the auditorium. We have about 135, 140 students that are part of that now. And it seems to continue to grow by the day a little bit, which is a good thing. So I'm going to actually, before we get started, I'm going to introduce Karen, who's going to talk about a few things. But before we get started, I want to first introduce Ms. Orsborn and Mrs. Mitchell, who are 2 of our guidance counselors, who, along with Mr. Myers, one of our assistant principals, is really driving the 4 club. They're meeting during the day, and they're also having meetings outside of school, after school, that the kids are attending. And they're the ones who are kind of behind the scenes, as well as the students here this evening, as far as putting the video together that you're going to see. So they've put a lot of work into planning this, as well as the students that we have that have been involved in it. They've been doing a great job. So without further ado, Karen.
Thanks. Mrs. Babb had asked if we would provide regular updates to you about Rachel's Challenge and how it was being implemented in our schools. So this is the first of those updates. I've already spoken with the other schools. They're already lined up on the schedule. So I'm excited about sharing this with you because Rachel's Challenge is more than a one-time assembly. It is more than one day in the life of these kids. It is for some of them, to be perfectly honest, but we were able to bring this program to over 5,000 students, in large part thanks to our PTOs. Every PTO in the district donated to make this possible, and they carried over half of the cost. Everyone in that district, grades K through 12, participated in that initial assembly, and that's what I mean when I say everyone had that first reaction to Rachel's Challenge. They will continue to receive Rachel's Challenge message and opportunities for discussion and reflection throughout the rest of the school year and into next school year. That's happening in homerooms. During the school day, it's happening with writing prompts and discussion groups in grades 6 through 12. Also then in grades 6 through 12 are Friends of Rachel. That is a different path. That is a group of students then taking hold of Rachel's Challenge and really implementing it into the culture of their school, integrating it into the culture of their school. So I'm very excited because these groups have taken off. All of them have met multiple times already and have elected leadership and have chosen their first projects. So you're about to see the very first project. And I have to tell you, I saw this 2 hours ago. It is just killing me inside because I am wired to when I see something cool, anything cool that has to do with these schools, I click it and I share it immediately. And it's killing me not to share this right now. And I would ask all of you to kind of hold, you're gonna feel the same way as I do. Hold on, because this will be shared with the student body soon.
Well, with our 4 Club group on Tuesday morning, and then with the student body.
So you're getting a preview of what the entire student body will get to see with discussion and reflection next week. And then after that, I'm sharing the heck out of this thing. I'll let them tell you a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Kate Orsborn. We actually told our 4 Club after school today that we were going to be sharing this with them if they wanted to see it this afternoon. And then we had to send an email telling them that we weren't actually going to be doing that because it was just so good that we didn't think they could keep it off of social media either. And so we wanted it to be viewed for the first time by our group on Tuesday morning and then by everybody else together. So trying to keep it special. So you're special that you get to see it. Our students that came with us, they've already seen it so that they can talk a little about it. And we're just really excited to be here, so thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm Dana Mitchell. I'm one of the counselors at the high school as well, and thank you very much for extending the invitation for us to come and for our students to come and talk to you about our 4 Club tonight. We're extremely excited about the 4 Club. This, as Karen said, and I'm sure you all know what Rachel's Challenge is, but the 4 Club is kind of what we see as the catalyst of peers taking over this whole idea of spreading kindness throughout our school and throughout the community. And I can tell you today we had our first after-school meeting of the club. We had an excellent turnout, and we had 12 students of all grade levels, boys and girls, who came up and shared 1 to 2 minute speeches of why they wanted to be a part of our leadership council. It was incredibly moving. The students discussed their own personal struggles. They discussed why they just want to be kind to others and why they feel like it's important to be a part of this club. And we even had students discuss that they used to be bullies or not kind to other people, and they really felt like this was a way to turn things around for them. So this video is kind of our first big project about why we think kindness is important. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our students to introduce the video. We have Ms. Suhabi Salman, Mr. Riley Wiseman, and Ms. Ariana Gould here to share with you a little bit about the video.
Hi, I'm Sahabi Salman. So I'm going to tell you a little about what the 4 Club is. So Rachel Joy Scott, she was a victim of the Columbine shooting. She kept journals and she wanted to spread kindness to those she met. And there's multiple people who have come out and said that she definitely changed the direction of their lives. So she left us 5 challenges that we learned about in like the big group meeting. Number 1 is to look for the best in others. Number 2 is to dream big. 3 is to speak with kindness, and 4 is to start our own chain reaction. And then number 5 is to choose positive influences. And I have a quote to go with that. It's by Rachel Wolchin. It says, surround yourself with people that reflect who you want to be and how you want to feel. Energies are contagious. So, especially at the high school, I know it's really been in play. We hope to spread kindness and compassion throughout all of the schools in Springfield.
Hi, I'm Ariana, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about the video. The video is not just a video for the 4 Club, but it's a challenge for our club, and not even just for our club, but for everyone else that will eventually see it, and especially since it will go viral on the internet. But it's a challenge for everyone too to spread kindness throughout either the school or in the classroom or even throughout the community and maybe even throughout the world, because we're not the only school that does this challenge. There's tons of other schools that do it as well. But this also is an inspiration for the 4 Club and for everyone else to take that challenge.
Hi, I'm Riley Wiseman. I'm in 9th grade, of course. And to me, I'll just be speaking about what it sort of means to me. To me, Rachel's Challenge is an opportunity to change the lives of my fellow classmates and make my community a place free of bullying, harassment, and injustice. I see this challenge as a way to touch the hearts of many and to allow the positivity that I know is in every one of us to wash away the words and actions that cause my classmates a great deal of anguish and heartache. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. And enthusiasm is not only what you're about to see in this video, but what I see in myself, what I see in us three, what I see within my school after this was initiated, and what I see from our administrators. And I feel that contrary to most activities that, that I've seen in my upbringing, that, or assemblies that I've seen rather, that this one is different in the sense that immediately after the assembly and we got together, you could just see that there was an immediate difference in how everybody treated this. And I just think that it was incredible. And especially today after school, we had our meeting where we elected, of course, our council, and our classmates were telling of their dreams, not only to change our school, but of their desires to grow our club into something that potentially changes the world. Well, that's a little, ambitious, but I still think that we can certainly achieve that. One of the things that I find most difficult in this, one of the things that we'll have to get past, is trying to find a way to get the message across to the kids that don't necessarily want it, that are maybe too cool for, the message of this. And I think that between us five and the rest of our club, that'll be no problem, and that, we can turn this into something that instead of it's cool to bully somebody and it's cool to be mean, that instead it will be about how cool it is to be nice to other people. And finally, I think that this is the first step for me to change the world, and to change it in a way that positively affects the lives of those who have yet to step into the high school or those that have yet to step into a school. And I see Rachel's Challenge as the beginning of the change which starts now. Thank you.
The words are really good.
Yeah, I know.
Free. That works.
You can read some.
There's always a first for stuff to go wrong.
Certainly. The volume's off. It's just working.
Works now.
Kindness begins with me.
Kindness begins with me.
It costs nothing to be a kind person. F-R-E-E, that spells free. If that doesn't give you an incentive, I don't know what will. It costs nothing to be kind to one another.
Don't give up, you matter. Kindness begins with me. Kindness is always beautiful. Kindness begins with me. Kindness begins with me.
One day you're just going to be a memory to someone, so be a good one.
Whatever happens in life, being good to people is a wonderful legacy to leave behind.
Kindness begins with me.
Never dim anyone else's light so that you can shine. Just shine. Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Surround yourself with people who are only going to lift you higher.
Kindness begins with me.
Kindness begins with me.
If you want kindness in the world, put it there.
In a world where you can be anything, be kind.
Kindness begins with me.
Throw kindness around like confetti.
I have chosen to be happy because it's good for my health. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Help a friend.
Kindness begins with me. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up.
No act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted.
Be nice first.
Kindness begins with me.
Kind heart, brave mind, fierce spirit. Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see. How you make others feel about themselves is a lot about you.
Kindness begins with me.
Kindness begins with me.
You were born with the ability to change somebody's life. Don't ever waste it. We're so worried about being pretty, so let's be pretty smart, pretty kind, and pretty amazing. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention. Work hard, stay humble, and be kind.
Kindness begins with me. Kindness begins with me.
I don't know a perfect person. I only know flawed people who are still worth loving. Be kind to everyone, including yourself.
Always help someone. You might be the only one that does.
Kindness begins with me.
Don't just be good to others, be good to yourself too.
Kindness begins with me. Be an encourager. The world has plenty of critics.
Kindness begins with us.
It's cool to be kind. Kindness begins with us. Kindness begins with us. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle. The 4 Club stands for Friends of Rachel. The members hope to spread loving kindness that can reach the greatest heights. Show your appreciation towards teachers, classmates, family members, and so on by being a positive and encouraging light throughout the day. Keep in mind that the smallest gesture can make someone's day 10 times better. Kindness counts. What will you do to start a chain reaction at Springboro High School?
I'd like to say something. Riley was my student in 5th grade. He doesn't know this, but he started this 4 years ago. My mother passed away when I was at Dennis. And spring break, he went to, and he brought me back a hat because he knew I was a Bengals fan. I've been checking on Riley.
That's true.
I'm going to keep on checking on Riley.
That's good too.
But this is about the Rileys of the world. And this is about administrators like us. It's about boards like us. Who, besides the academics and all the other things we do in school, it's about that we care for one another, like Riley did for me as a principal at Dennis. Thank you, ladies. You guys did a good job.
Thanks, Doug.
Very good. Okay, thank you to each of you who participated this evening and again. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, the treasurer's report. Item 3.1, Mara?
Yes, this is approval of a donation for a therapeutic tricycle from the Bush family valued at $279.
Okay, is there a motion to accept? So moved. Mr. Anderson, second.
Second.
Mrs. Babb, roll call. Yeah.
What will it be used for? Is it part of the training facility or?
Preschool, probably.
Oh,
What's that?
I think it's for a special.
Yeah, it could be. I know that there was a high school student who got a therapeutic bicycle years ago. So, okay, roll call, please.
Malone,
Yes.
Stuckey,
yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Babb,
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. 3.2, approval of donation from the Springboro Athletic Boosters for $14,000. Motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Babb, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stuckey? Roll call, please.
Malone,
Yes.
Stuckey,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Babb,
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. This 14,000 was earmarked 10,000 for boys and girls track, 2,000 for girls softball, and 2,000 for girls soccer. Okay, item 4.
Can I ask a quick question with that?
Sure.
Is that clothing or like what type of track items?
With track, they were talking about padding that goes underneath like the high jump pit and stuff like that. That
Oh,
help
it's
preserve
like-
movements. I
Gotcha.
think some of that.
More equipment type?
Yeah, well, at least part of it.
Okay.
I think the track might even be on those
Hurdles.
the
too.
hurdles.
Yeah, hurdles also.
No, that's not included.
It's not included?
No, the hurdles is a separate one that'll be in
I'm not sure who put because Ashley puts them on, so I don't usually get the backup, but other than what's written on here, I don't even see what the actual lists are. But I do know that we were talking about the track. I know they were needing hurdles because some of the ones we had before, they were returned.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay, item 4.1 from the Human Resources.
Yes, Board of Education, I ask for approval of the personnel items per the superintendent's office this evening for approval to move forward with those items.
Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stuckey, roll call, please.
Malone?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Babb?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 4-0. Item 4.2, approval to modify contracts for OT.
Yes, per the superintendent's office this evening, we look for approval of modification of our services for OT. That is at Clear Creek. As you saw on the personnel items that you just approved, we did have some other Clear Creek personnel that went up some in the hours or minutes that they are delivering that would increase their pay. That is all due to what you approved a couple of board meetings ago for the additional half unit for Clear Creek for their preschool. So this is all the support services that need to go into that in order to allow the services for the special education students in preschool to move forward.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, all right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Babb, roll call, please.
Malone?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Babb?
Yes.
The motion passes. Okay, item number 5, board member reports, comments, etc. Item 5.1, approval of resolution to change board meetings temporarily to 6 p.m. and move the work session before the business session. Is there a motion on this?
So moved.
Then we
Did we do it with just 4 of us here?
It needs a supermajority, so.
And all 4 to go against.
It just needs a It needs a supermajority, so
And then
yeah.
need 2/3.
It needs 4 out of 5 people.
4/5.
Okay, so is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Stuckey, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Anderson, discussion on this. We did, at the last meeting, discuss doing some things with our board meeting in terms of time and also the order of events to hopefully make it more accessible to parents. And so the point of this motion is on a temporary basis to start our meetings at 6 p.m., run the work session from 6 until approximately 7, and then at 7 p.m. Conduct the regular business meeting. Again, the idea here is to make it more accessible to individuals, also to hopefully wrap up the board meetings themselves a little bit earlier than what they have been. So again, it's a trial. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll resort to the traditional way, or we'll look for something else. So Any other discussion from anyone, comments from anyone?
It discusses a consent agenda, and I wanted to explain. We didn't write it that way. There'll never be a time to where we come to the board and say, well, we just want you to vote yes on everything on the agenda, and we don't discuss it. There are, however, Ms. Floyd brought up how the Loveland had once done it or does it now. Under each section, for example, the superintendent section, I would talk about everything that's in my section, and then there's one vote at the end. If there's a board member that just can't live with what's there and wanted to vote no, then they would say, pull that out and we'll vote on that individually. That would be as much of a consent agenda as we would ever bring, because in talking with all of you, you like to be able to have discussions, so you can better understand what's going on and give your opinion, and we definitely want that to happen. That's how we make good decisions.
So clarification, if there are 10 items on the consent agenda, and let's say I have an issue with one of them, I can simply request item 8 be pulled off, and automatically it's pulled off. Is that right?
Well, pulled off the vote on by itself.
True. It's not a matter of needing a second or to amend the motion or anything. It's simply pulled off because a member has requested.
Correct. Would that be done at the beginning of the meeting or any time?
We would work with Dr. Malone, and we would organize it that way for the following meeting to let you know ahead of time. Like when we vote on all the trips, we would tell you about all of the trips, but then there would be one vote afterwards instead of voting every single time we're talking about.
And pulling off the individual items, you could do that at any time before the vote occurs. You could go through the discussion and decide while you're having a discussion that one item is something you want to vote on separately or want to even table, and you just pull it off and just won't, you have a separate action on that particular item.
But I think the biggest thing here, if anybody's on any other boards with consent agendas, is the concern, and that was my concern when I first read this, is a lot of consent agendas.
It's a rubber stamp.
Are to review it ahead of time, you come to the meeting, ask for anything to be pulled off, and other than that, it's just you vote on it and you're done, and there's no discussion.
No.
And that would be a huge concern for me. So I'm totally fine with what you guys suggested, as long as we still hear all of the discussion.
Correct.
So like, for instance, under like, if I did my section and I had like, you know, if there was, say, 4 donations, you know, I'm doing the tax advances, I'm doing all that, I would say, okay, the first item is a donation from this, and then I would say the second item with this, and then, you know, I'm doing the rates or amount, you know, and then you guys could go back and forth and ask questions on each thing, and when everybody's comfortable with everything, if they are, then you just have the one roll call. So you're not just doing multiple roll calls. You're just basically, and then if there's something that says, well, I like everything, but I'm not really wanting to vote on this today, or I'd like this pull, then we pull that off. You vote, yes on all the items that you're okay with, and then we vote on the other items you've asked to be pulled separately, or table them for another day. And so, and I know when I talked to John about that, he said that all the districts he had been in does it the same way as what I was used to. So at least I was glad.
We're trying to do that with our HR.
Yeah, our HR portion does like that. You vote on all of the HR items at once. So it's like that. But yes, you do discuss every item individually. Still, there's just one roll call at the end instead of the multiple action items.
We probably
Saves time on that.
spend 2 minutes on doing the roll call
For
and
every item.
first motion, second motion, on everything. We probably have 20 minutes wrapped up in that. So again, the goal here is not to have fast meetings, it's to have quality meetings that are as timely as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Can you also explain, just so we're all clear with, that this is a temporary resolution and just the process of how to change the bylaw? If we all agree with this, how we go through the process to change it in the bylaws?
We would simply, we'd work with Dr. Malone and we would pull that particular bylaw, I don't know which exact one that is.
Like the 165.
We would make the changes on it and then bring it to the board. It's not something that has to go to policy committee first. And then the board would vote on that policy that night and/or bylaw. And it has to be a 4-1 vote.
To make it permanent. So right now, this is just a resolution allowing you to try other things.
Right.
And then once you're comfortable with having that actual be the organization of the meeting and everything, then you can go and change the bylaw to reflect that that's what we're going to do from now on. So this just allows us to do it temporary until you decide if and when you want to make it permanent.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or comment on that? All right, we voted.
No.
We have not. Okay. Roll call, please.
Malone,
Yes.
Stuckey,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bab.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. Item 5.2, any comments or questions?
Mr. President, I would just like to make a point that I did not have anything on the agenda.
We appreciate that. That in itself would shorten the meeting. Thank you. Okay. Is any other board member comments or Mr. Stuckey? Start with you down there.
I'll give a rundown from what I have for the winter sports activities. I know our swim team and diving team, I believe, won the South Division championship. I'm not sure about wrestling. I didn't get any feedback from the wrestling team.
Fourth.
Fourth in the GWAC.
Okay.
Wow.
The entire GWAC.
And we finished what in the South?
Second.
Second, fourth overall. Okay, good. Our girls' competition cheerleading squad just got back from Florida and won the championship down there in their division. I think that's for the second year in a row now that they've done that. They were good. You know, I saw them the other night at the performed at the high school halftime, and they were very impressive. Girls basketball won the South Division. They were 19-3, I believe, and they got seeded third in the tournament. And their first game, I'm not sure who it is against, a winner of somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, they got first round bye.
They got
Springfield.
by.
Saturday night.
Is it?
I think they're playing Springfield.
Springfield.
I think it's at Troy.
And Troy, yes.
Yeah. And then the boys also got seeded third. They aren't finished yet with their season. They have 2 games left. They play the winner of Northmont and Bellefontaine, I believe, coming up. Let's see, who else? Who have I forgotten?
Hockey.
Not sure about hockey, didn't hear. I know they've had a great year, but
Hockey's won 24 straight games, and
That's pretty good.
they're pretty good.
They are
Going into the tournament.
27-2, 26-2.
26-2.
They just went out to Indiana and swept Carmel Fishers and another strong hockey program out there over this last weekend. And then their tournament in the social starts this Saturday. So if you guys haven't been to a hockey game, I encourage you to go to one.
fun.
They're a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Aggressive.
we go to a fight and a hockey game breaks out?
Yeah. Not in high school.
Mr. Martin tells them how that works.
Then the last thing, this past Saturday at the high school during the Franklin basketball game, I had the privilege of being part of a presentation. So did Mr. Martin. 2 of our past athletes were able to play in Super Bowls, and this being the 50th year of that of the Super Bowl, gold footballs were presented to the schools or to the athletes of the schools to present to their school. We had 2 athletes, Brad Lamb from back in the mid-'80s, played on 2 Super Bowl teams with Buffalo, and Jake Ballard played on a winning Super Bowl team with the New York Giants, and both presented the footballs to Mr. Martin, myself, and Ryan Wilhite. It was really a neat evening, especially I hadn't seen Brad in probably 10 to 12 years, something like that, so it was good to see him.
Very good. Ms. Matt?
But Dave forgot to tell his daughter that he was going to be part of it. So he did get in trouble for that.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
I was able to go to the robot little presentation at Nutter Center this weekend, which I learned a lot. Had never been part of that at all because none of my boys have been part of it. And it was a very, very cool experience. All the way from the little kids that had presentation boards, and they were given a topic, which was recycling, and they had to learn about it and then design, using Legos, some sort of a motor, and explain how it had to do with recycling. So to hear their little 2nd and 3rd grade minds work and how the motors work, it was intriguing how their explanations, and like one little girl, I said, did it work first time? And she said, no, over and over again, it didn't work. And I said, how'd that make you feel? And she said, it was frustrating. I said, so how'd you make it work? Did you super glue it? She looked at me, she goes, no. And I said, well, why not? And she goes, because the gear would have stuck, like you're so stupid. So it was just really cool to see it such a young level, and then to see the higher where you have to complete different missions all the way up to the older grades, which our high schoolers weren't there, but we went into the high school area where they have the big machines. So it's just neat to experience, to see some of our older kids in the major STEM-related items or areas, and what's out there for our kids. The other thing that I was at a meeting for after prom at, where do we do our hockey?
South Metro.
South Metro. It was cool because the owner was there and we were talking about having after prom there. And he called us into a back room and basically told us, you guys at after prom have run of the entire area. We won't be there. If you need us, I live 2 minutes away, but you have run of everything. And he said, I called you back here because we just don't do this for everybody. And I said, why? Why are you doing it for us? Because he gives us an incredibly good price, and literally, I mean, that place is amazing. I said, why Springboro? I said, do you live in Springboro? I'm thinking 2 minutes, probably not. And he said, no, but Springboro has done so much for us. And it was really cool to hear his experience with what Springboro, the reputation that Springboro has been for his business, and the way that they have treated his business and what they have brought to his business. And now he said, this is my way of giving back to Springboro. And he said, as I grow and he's expanding the back of his building, he said, I will continue to offer this to Springboro because of what they've done and how they've helped me as I've expanded. So kudos to the hockey team and all of the people that have supported that, because he just couldn't say enough positive about Springboro. So I'm not a hockey parent, but you guys have left a great impression for him. So thank you.
Very
That's
good.
it.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Anderson?
My only comment is I'm glad to see the presentation about Rachel's challenge, and that was awesome. And you know, when he said, you know, if we can get some of the bullies to think it's cool, then you know it's not cool to be a bully. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's an insecure coward, and those are the people. But perhaps we can make people bullies about kindness, bullies about making a difference with people, and that'd be worthwhile. So anyway,
Very good. It's good to see. Very good. Lots of good things going on. Lots of good things. Okay. Then any future considerations or announcements from anyone else?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank all of you for coming in Saturday, 4 hours for a retreat. We had that here. We did get a lot accomplished. That was helpful. We do want to do another retreat, I guess, the first week in June, first weekend in June. So I wanted to make sure that's on everyone's calendar, and then we'll get all that taken care of. So it'll probably be a few hours on Friday night and all day Saturday or something like that. And we will have all the administrators there. And hopefully by then our district goals are finalized, and we're putting the building plans together, and we'll do some different modules on expanding those, because I think we're really starting to see the importance of having a definite direction in what we're doing in the district, because it helps in every area. It eliminates this feeling of what next. It helps us to define how we're going to spend money, and it really helps us to define the growth of our kids. So I just wanted to thank you guys for spending half a day on Saturday through that. It's meant a lot and helped us out a lot to play.
Very good. Okay, any committee reports? Item 6.2. Okay. Okay, 6.3, Washington DC trips contract. John?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, annually the junior high takes the 8th graders to DC for a trip. And so it's always a little bit of a challenge, because with such large class sizes that we have, it is always a joy to have the companies look at it and all. This year, the 8th grade teachers would like to maintain the contract they've had for several years with Classic Student Tours, which is a group local. Over last year, it's a $24 increase. Last year it was 549 if we had 44 to 47 kids per coach, and this year it'll be 573. So it's gone up a little bit, and that's really about it. The information that's presented to you, you got a little bit more information this year than we've had in the past, which is good because you can actually see some of the things in the letter the parents will be getting and all that. The parent meeting is in March 15th. So they need to we will need to have a board action before then, really to make sure that everybody's okay with it and we get that approved before the folks meet with the parents.
What
So,
day in March, John?
The 15th.
15th?
And so even if we cancel the 25th meeting, which there's been some discussion of that, we still have the March 11th meeting there. So we've got two possibilities for meetings before it would affect the parent meeting.
Can we advertise to parents when the meeting is before we vote on it?
Oh, yeah, it should be
They're already
soon.
asking.
Well, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that it kind of snuck up on some, we pulled Cheryl Winter out of the junior high last year, and that's been a godsend in technology. And so last year, Chad Adams took it over, but unfortunately this year, with track and everything else going on, it snuck up on him. So John Gunther, I knew I'd mispronounce it, that's why I hesitated.
We need to look at that as a paid supplemental.
He took that over just about a week or 2 weeks ago, and so he got Classic Student Tours in and got all the information, and so the meeting was just sent yesterday, as a matter of fact. So,
And to your point, I'm going to work with John. We're going to develop a separate web page and everything just
Right.
for the trip, just for trip information.
Right.
And because our trip is so big, we will have our own district brochure about
Correct.
the trip for parents.
right.
Great.
I'm working with John
Yeah.
on that. So it'll be presented a little differently to parents this year.
Correct.
So we're going to be advertising that before the board votes?
We will advertise the informational meeting. If you want, I can put a disclaimer on it.
Well,
I typically, we haven't always done that because it kind of puts you on the spot to vote yes when we tell the parents we're going to do something. You haven't quite said yes yet. I don't think it's going to be a
I
problem.
can
You don't
say
think it's a problem,
pending-
we'll
I
go
can
ahead and
say it's
advertise
pending
it.
board approval.
You got to understand, I've lived in a day and time where there were been issues.
I
Well,
don't have a problem with it.
And in the past, they just advertised it, they didn't tell you they were advertising it.
Oh, now it worked? Oh,
Yes,
even better.
you just didn't know, Todd,
Yeah.
that it was advertised and before the board.
Well, we're gonna have bigger problems
Okay
if we
with it.
don't put some word
Well,
out
yeah,
there.
that's why,
They're
yeah,
already
and that,
We're already
yeah,
having bigger problems
Yeah.
because we don't have anything out on it.
correct,
So,
and they plan to have that out very soon.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John. Okay, any other items come for us at this time? If not, then executive session. Is there a motion to? Okay. All right, there's a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, or demotion for compensation of a public employee or official. Matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes. Is there a motion to go into executive session? So moved. Mr. Anderson, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Bad, roll call, please. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. There will not be any action following the